The sky over Arendor 9 burned with fire. Smoke from the shattered city rose in thick black clouds, turning the horizon into a canvas of ash and orange. Captain Alara Voss stood on a ridge overlooking the ruins of her home base. She clenched her fists, her knuckles white against the fading sunlight. The ground below was littered with debris, burned vehicles, collapsed buildings and bodies of those who could not escape. The Vorath, an alien race with armor like living metal and eyes like molten silver, had invaded without warning. Their ships descended like dark shadows, dropping fire and destruction with terrifying precision. No one had expected such speed, such cruelty. Ilara's stomach tightened as she looked around. Survivors stumbled through the rubble, dazed and terrified. Mothers carried crying children. The elderly moved slowly, their steps uncertain. Even the strongest soldiers were shaken. The Vorath had a way of crushing spirit before they struck physically. They said humans were weak, one of her lieutenants muttered, his voice trembling. They were right, Ilara's jaw tightened. She refused to let despair take her. She had trained her whole life for this, and she knew humans could survive if they refused to give in. She knelt beside a small girl, no older than 6, who was crying softly in the dust. "It's going to be okay," Ilara whispered. "We will get through this." The girl looked at her with wide, fearful eyes, then buried her face against Ilara's chest. At that moment, the captain realized something. Hope wasn't completely gone. It hid in moments like this, fragile and trembling, but it still existed. Ilara turned to her team. "We need to move," she said firmly. "The Vorath will sweep this area soon. Every second counts." The survivors gathered what little they could carry and followed Ilara into the wilderness beyond the city. Trees that had once been tall and green now bore scorch marks, leaves falling like embers. The air smelled of smoke and fear, but they pressed on. They had nowhere else to go. As they walked, Ilara noticed the faces of the refugees, some blank with shock, others filled with tears. Many whispered that hope was dead, that humans were finished. Even her soldiers, trained to fight under any conditions, looked as if the weight of the universe had fallen on their shoulders. Yet Ilara did not falter. Deep inside, she felt a spark, an ember that refused to die. She remembered the stories her grandmother had told her, of human courage and ingenuity, tales of survival against impossible odds. Humans had always found ways to endure, to fight back when no one expected it. Hours passed as they moved through the forest, avoiding Vorath patrols. At night, they camped in hidden clearings, keeping watch while the others slept. Around the fire, whispers of despair rose like smoke, but Ilara spoke louder than the fear. "We are not finished," she said. "The Vorath think we are weak. They think they can break us, but they don't understand humans. We survive, we fight, and when we do, we are unstoppable." Her words were simple, but they carried a strange power. Some of the refugees began to look up from their grief. A young man who had been silent since the attack nodded slightly. "You really believe that?" he asked. Ilara met his gaze. "I do, and if I believe it, you should too." The next morning, as they traveled deeper into the wilderness, Ilara discovered something unexpected. Hidden among the roots of a ruined temple was a small metal device, ancient and corroded but still intact. She knelt and brushed the dirt away, revealing a smooth circular object that hummed faintly. "What is it?" one of her soldiers asked. Ilara examined it carefully. The device was a beacon, an old human invention designed to unite colonies and signal allies in times of crisis. She remembered reading about them in history books, relics from a time when humans had faced extinction on other worlds and survived. This could help us," she said softly. "If we can restore it, it might remind humans what we are capable of." The group looked at her with a mixture of hope and doubt. Some smiled faintly, but most still carried the weight of fear. Ilara smiled back, not with arrogance, but with quiet confidence. "Hope is not dead, not while humans still stand." Over the following days, the small group continued their journey. They scavenged abandoned shelters for food and supplies, sometimes encountering Vorath patrols. Every encounter was dangerous, but the humans used their wits. They hid in shadows, set simple traps, and avoided direct confrontations when possible. Despite the constant threat, Ilara noticed a change in the people around her. The refugees who had once whispered that hope was dead now began to speak of small victories. A hidden Vorath supply dropped. A child rescued from a burning village. A pack of humans finding water and shelter where none seemed to exist. It was not much, but it was enough to start a spark. One evening, as they rested near a quiet river, Ilara gathered the survivors. She held up the beacon, its metal surface glowing faintly in the dying light. "This was built by humans," she said. "Not aliens. Not machines. Humans. And it worked then when the odds were against us. It can work again. But only if we fight, only if we refuse to give in." A murmur of agreement ran through the group. The young man who had questioned her before now stood taller. "Then we fight," he said. "We fight for our homes. We fight for each other," Ilara nodded. "Exactly. Every small act counts. Every human who refuses to surrender strengthens us all. That is what the Vorath do not understand. They see us as weak. But our strength lies in our courage, in our unity, in our refusal to die quietly." As night fell, the survivors slept more peacefully than they had in days. For the first time, the air did not feel heavy with despair. The ember of hope had begun to glow, yet danger was never far. The Vorath were relentless and the humans were still few, but Ilara's determination was fierce. She knew that if she could survive this journey, if she could protect these people, they could begin to show the galaxy what humans were truly capable of. And in that quiet moment, by the riverbank, the first real thought of a future without fear took root. It was fragile, yes, but it existed. And sometimes a fragile hope was all that was needed to start a revolution. Ilara gazed at the stars, each one a distant world, each one a reminder that humans were not alone. Somewhere out there, other humans might be watching, waiting for a signal. The beacon she had found could reach them, could remind them that humanity was not finished. "We will survive," she whispered to herself. "We always do." The night was calm, but the future was not. The Vorath would come again, stronger and faster than before, but Ilara and her group were ready to face them. Because humans did not just survive. Humans fought. And when they did, the universe would notice. The ember of hope had been lit, and in the days to come it would grow into a flame that no alien could extinguish. The forest of Arendor 9 seemed endless, but Ilara led her small group with purpose. Each step was careful. Every shadow could hide a Vorath patrol. The alien invaders were fast, precise, and utterly ruthless, but the humans moved with caution, using the terrain to their advantage. The group had grown slightly, as other survivors had joined them over the last few days. Some were soldiers, others farmers, engineers, and scientists, all ordinary humans pushed into extraordinary circumstances. Each of them carried fear in their eyes, but Ilara noticed something new, a flicker of determination. "Keep your eyes open," she whispered. "And your heads down." They moved silently through the trees, avoiding the ruins where alien drones might hover. The sounds of the forest, birds, wind, distant waterfalls were oddly comforting. For a moment the group felt almost normal, almost safe, but Ilara knew safety was temporary. The Vorath would not give humans a moment of peace. At a narrow river crossing, the group paused. The water ran fast, cold, and clear. Ilara knelt and cupped her hands, drinking deeply. She glanced at the others who mirrored her actions. Even in this small act of normality, there was strength. The human body and spirit could endure more than the aliens expected. "That's enough rest," she said, standing. "We need to find shelter before nightfall." They found an abandoned research outpost half hidden by trees. The building had been damaged, but still offered protection. Inside, Ilara examined the old computers and storage units. Among the debris, she found blueprints, maps, and technical notes left by humans long gone. Her mind raced. There was potential here, not just for survival, but for resistance. "We can use this," she said. "We can make weapons, alarms, even traps. Anything that gives us an edge." A scientist among the group, Dr. Mara Levins, nodded eagerly. "There's enough tech here to make a small defensive system. We just need time and effort." Ilara smiled faintly. Time was scarce, but effort, that was something humans had in abundance. Over the next few days, the group worked tirelessly. They repaired old weapons, set traps along likely Vorath routes, and reinforced the outpost. The beacon, which Ilara had found near the river, became central to their plans. Though it was ancient and partially broken, they began studying its design, hoping to restore its function. At night, Ilara gathered the group around the fire. "The Vorath think we are weak. They think fear controls us. But it does not. It can try, but we will not let it. Humans have something no machine or alien can match: courage, ingenuity, and heart." A young man, Jaren, raised his hand. "But what if we fail? What if they destroy us anyway?" Alara met his eyes. Then we fail trying. That is better than giving up. Humans do not surrender quietly. We fight, we adapt, and we rise. Always. Her words hung in the night air, a promise and a challenge. Some of the group nodded, their resolve strengthening. By the 5th day, the humans had turned the outpost into a small but formidable camp. Alarms rigged from salvaged sensors and wires could detect alien patrols. Traps along the paths through the forest offered protection, and the beacon, though incomplete, hummed faintly, a subtle pulse that reminded the humans of their potential. One afternoon, while scouting near a ridge, Alara spotted a Vorath patrol moving toward the outpost. She signaled her team to hide and watched. There were 5 aliens, heavily armored, moving in synchronized patterns. Their weapons glowed with energy that could melt steel. "They're hunting us," whispered Jaren. "Yes," Alara replied, "and they will underestimate us. That is our advantage." She devised a simple trap using old cables and metal scraps from the outpost. As the patrol entered a narrow valley, the trap activated, a chain reaction of noise, light, and debris. The aliens were momentarily disoriented, confused by the unexpected resistance. Alara led her team in a calculated strike. Using guerrilla tactics, they targeted weak points in the patrol's formation. In a matter of minutes, the aliens retreated, leaving behind damaged equipment and a small victory for the humans. The team erupted in cheers, a sound that had been rare in recent days. For the first time, hope felt real. Back at the camp, the group celebrated quietly. They had faced the Vorath and survived. Even more, they had proven that human courage could turn fear into opportunity. Dr. Mara examined the beacon again. "I think we can make it work," she said. "If we repair it fully, it could send a signal of unity, of resistance. It could remind other humans that they are not alone." Ilara's eyes shone with determination. "Then we will do it. We will show the galaxy what humans are capable of, even when the odds are against us." The following days were a blur of activity. The humans repaired the beacon, scavenged materials, trained in combat, and mapped the surrounding forest for strategic advantage. Each success, no matter how small, built confidence. Civilians who had once trembled at the thought of fighting now learned to move silently, to set traps, to defend themselves. One evening, a messenger arrived, a young girl from a nearby settlement. She had escaped the Vorath and brought news of other human survivors hiding in the mountains. Alara listened carefully. "We are not alone," she said. "These people need us, and we can help them. That is why we fight. That is why hope matters." The team prepared to move at dawn, planning to rescue those trapped humans. Along the way, they would spread word of the beacon, igniting courage wherever humans remained hidden. The journey was difficult. Vorath patrols had increased, and the humans faced harsh terrain, steep cliffs, thick forests, and raging rivers. But they moved with purpose. Every obstacle they overcame reminded them of what humans could achieve with determination and unity. During one night, as they rested on a rocky ledge overlooking a valley, Alara spoke quietly to her second-in-command. "Rin, they think fear controls us," she said, her gaze fixed on the stars. "But fear is a tool, not a master. They cannot break what they do not understand. Humans survive because we never stop trying, even when hope seems lost." Rin nodded. "I see it in them now. The others are stronger, braver. It's like your words lit a fire inside them." Alara smiled faintly. "Then the fire will spread. Soon it will not be just a small group fighting. It will be a movement. And the Vorath will learn the hard way that humans do not give up quietly." The humans reached the hidden settlements as the sun rose, golden light spilling over the valleys. Families emerged from hiding, eyes wide with fear and relief. They had survived by hiding, but they were ready to fight for their homes if someone showed them the way. Alara activated the beacon partially, sending a faint pulse across the surrounding area. The light was small, but it carried a message. Humans are not defeated. Humans are rising. The survivors watched, awe in their eyes. Some fell to their knees, overwhelmed by emotion. Others clenched their fists, a new determination settling in their hearts. Alara turned to her team. "This is only the beginning," she said. "We will rescue those who are trapped. We will fight. And we will remind the galaxy that humans are strong, brave, and unstoppable when we stand together." As the humans prepared for the next phase of their journey, the Vorath forces observed from above, unaware of the growing resistance below. They had assumed fear and hopelessness would control the humans, but they had miscalculated. Humans adapted, humans fought back, humans survived, and now, that survival was becoming something greater, a movement, a beacon, a spark of hope that could not be extinguished. Alara gazed at the rising sun, the light reflecting off the partially repaired beacon. For the first time in days, she felt something powerful. Not just hope, but belief. Belief in herself, her team, and humanity itself. The Vorath might control the skies, but humans controlled their will, and as long as the will of humanity remained strong, the universe had no choice but to notice. With that thought, Alara led her team forward, toward the hidden settlements, and toward the next battle. Each step was a challenge, but each step was also proof of what humans could achieve against impossible odds. The ember of hope had grown brighter. Soon it would ignite a flame that would change the course of the war. The hidden settlements lay nestled in the valley, surrounded by thick forests and jagged cliffs. To any observer, they would have seemed lost, forgotten by the galaxy. But Alara saw something different. Possibility. Every human life here mattered, and each person had the potential to fight back. Alara led her team through the settlements quietly. Families peeked from behind doors and trees, watching as soldiers and civilians moved together, strong and purposeful. Fear lingered in their eyes, but there was also curiosity, a spark waiting to be fanned into courage. Dr. Mara and the engineers worked to repair the beacon fully. Its circuits were delicate, ancient human technology intertwined with layers of alien-resistant coding. The beacon had once been used to unite scattered colonies, to inspire resistance, and to amplify human ingenuity. If it worked again, it could change everything. Alara moved among the people, speaking softly to the elders, the young, the hesitant. "You are not alone," she said. "The Vorath think we are weak. They do not understand humans. We survive because we fight, we plan, and we never give up." A boy no older than 10 looked up at her. "But the aliens are everywhere. How can we fight them?" Alara knelt beside him. "By being clever. By using what we have. By protecting each other. And by remembering that even the smallest human action can make a difference." Her words seemed to settle over the settlement like a warm blanket. The boy's fear eased slightly, and others who had been hiding began to emerge, curious and cautious. Over the next several days, the humans trained and prepared. Soldiers shared their skills with civilians, how to move silently, how to use traps effectively, how to work as a team. Engineers and scientists created simple but effective devices to defend homes, detect alien patrols, and disrupt their communications. Every act, no matter how small, gave humans a chance. Meanwhile, Alara and her team worked tirelessly on the beacon. Slowly it began to hum more steadily, its glow intensifying. When fully activated, it could send a pulse across the planet, stirring humans everywhere with courage and determination. It was more than a signal. It was a message, a reminder of what humans could do when they refused to surrender. One evening, while Alara oversaw the beacon's repairs, alarms suddenly blared. Vorath patrols had discovered the settlements. A squad of heavily armored aliens moved swiftly, weapons glowing with deadly energy. The humans had little time to react. "Positions," Alara shouted. "Use the terrain. Use the traps." Civilians ran to barricades. Soldiers took cover behind trees and rocks, and engineers triggered alarms and traps. The aliens advanced, confident that humans would falter. But humans did not falter. The first Vorath soldier tripped a concealed wire, causing a net to spring up and entangle its limbs. Another stepped into a pit covered with branches, falling with a crash. Explosions and bursts of light disoriented the rest. Humans struck with precision, targeting the gaps in alien armor, exploiting weaknesses no one else could see. Alara moved through the battlefield with calm determination. Her team coordinated strikes, their movements precise and efficient. Civilians who had never held weapons before now fought bravely, their fear replaced with adrenaline and focus. The beacon pulsed in the distance, faint but growing stronger. Its hum seemed to resonate with the humans themselves, sharpening their instincts and courage. They felt coordinated without speaking, connected without words. For the first time, humans were not just defending, they were striking back. By the time the Vorath realized what was happening, it was too late. The humans had turned the battlefield to their advantage. The aliens retreated, leaving behind weapons and equipment, a clear sign that humans were no longer easy prey. Back in the settlements, the survivors cheered quietly. It was a small victory, but it was a victory nonetheless. Every human who had participated knew they had done something extraordinary. Dr. Mara wiped sweat from her brow and smiled at Alara. "The beacon is ready." "Fully operational." Alara nodded, her eyes reflecting determination and pride. "Then it is time. Let's show every human on this planet, and maybe beyond, that hope is not dead." The beacon's glow intensified, a warm, steady light that spread across the valley. Its hum grew louder, vibrating through the ground and into the hearts of humans everywhere. The signal carried more than energy. It carried a message of courage, unity, and resilience. Across the planet, hidden humans felt the change. Farmers in distant villages found new strength to stand against alien raiders. Scouts in remote mountains realized they were not alone. Families who had hidden for months began to organize and defend themselves. The beacon's signal amplified human determination, turning fear into action. Alara watched the beacon pulse and felt a profound truth settle in her mind. Humans were stronger than anyone believed. Even when outnumbered and outgunned, they had ingenuity, courage, and unity. The Vorath had underestimated them, and that would be their greatest mistake. As night fell, the humans prepared for the next step. They would not just survive, they would expand the resistance. Settlements would connect, sharing resources, skills, and information. The beacon would be their guide, their symbol, their rallying point. Alara walked among the people, noticing their small acts of bravery. A mother teaching her children to hide and defend themselves. A farmer helping set traps for alien patrols. Young soldiers learning to coordinate attacks. Every act reinforced the truth she had always believed. Humans were extraordinary, especially when no one else believed in them. Suddenly, scouts reported movement in the distance. A Vorath patrol, larger than any they had encountered before, was approaching the valley. But this time the humans were ready. Alara gathered her team. "This is what we have trained for. We have the beacon, we have each other, and we have our courage. We do not run. We do not hide. We fight and we win." The humans took positions using the terrain, the traps, and their knowledge of the area. When the aliens entered the valley, they were met with a coordinated, disciplined resistance. Every move of the humans seemed precise and connected, almost as if they could anticipate one another without speaking. The battle was intense. Alien weapons fired beams of energy, but humans used cover, traps, and clever strategies to counter them. Civilians fought alongside soldiers, showing courage that surprised even themselves. The beacon's pulse seemed to strengthen them, turning their fear into focus and precision. After hours of battle, the Vorath began to retreat once more. The humans had held their ground, striking with unexpected skill and determination. The valley was theirs, and the settlements remained safe for now. Exhausted but unbroken, Alara addressed the survivors. "Look around you," she said. "These people, this valley, this victory. This is what humans are capable of. We do not surrender. We do not give up. And we do not wait for others to save us. We save ourselves and we save each other." The humans cheered, the sound echoing through the valley like a promise. The beacon continued to pulse, a steady light in the darkness, a symbol of hope, courage, and unity. Alara looked at the glowing device and smiled. The journey was far from over. The Vorath would return, stronger and more determined, but so would the humans. They were learning, adapting, and growing stronger with every challenge. The ember of hope had become a flame, and the flame was spreading. Across Arendor 9, humans were waking to their true potential. They were no longer victims, they were fighters, survivors, and beacons of courage. And in the quiet moments between battles, Alara allowed herself to believe something extraordinary. The humans of Arendor 9 were just the beginning. The beacon would guide them, inspire others, and ignite a resistance that no alien force could extinguish. The war was far from over, but the humans had found their strength, and with strength, hope, and unity they were unstoppable. The valley lay quiet, but it was a calm that smelled of tension. Alara stood on a rocky outcrop overlooking the hidden settlements. The beacon pulsed steadily, its glow stronger than ever. The humans below moved with purpose, their faces lit by hope and determination. What had once been a frightened, scattered group was now an organized, coordinated force. Alara's mind was sharp. She knew the Vorath would not stay away for long. They had been beaten once, and no alien force tolerated defeat lightly. The humans had gained a small victory, but the war was far from over. "Scout reports," Rin said, approaching with a datapad. "There's a Vorath fleet moving toward the northern ridge. More soldiers, heavier armor. They're coming faster than before." Ilara's jaw tightened. "Then we must be ready. Every settlement must fight as one. We will not let them break us." The beacon's pulse grew stronger. Ilara had instructed engineers to link smaller devices across the valley, extending its reach. Every human in range felt its effect, a sense of clarity, courage, and unity. Fear diminished. Minds became sharper, reflexes faster. The Vorath's advantage of intimidation was fading. Ilara walked among the people, checking defenses and speaking with the leaders of each settlement. "Remember," she said, "our strength is not in our numbers alone. It is in our minds, our courage, and our willingness to fight together, protect each other, trust each other, and strike when the time is right." A young woman, Lena, approached, her hands trembling slightly as she held a makeshift weapon. "Captain Voss." "What if we fail?" Ilara smiled softly, crouching to meet her eyes. "Then we fail together and we learn. But we will not fail because we are united. Remember that. Humans survive by refusing to give up. That is who we are." Night fell, and with it came the first shadows of the approaching Vorath. Alien ships moved silently across the sky, their engines humming with power. From the ridge, the humans could see the glint of alien armor, the sharp lines of their ships, the glowing energy of their weapons. It would have been terrifying, if it were not for the beacon. The light of the beacon seemed to ripple through the valley, connecting humans like threads of steel. Soldiers moved with precision. Civilians manned barricades and lookout points, and engineers prepared traps and defensive mechanisms. When the Vorath advanced, they found themselves met with a resistance they had not expected. Humans struck from hidden positions, coordinated attacks hitting weak points in alien armor. Civilians threw improvised grenades and set traps that slowed the advance. Ilara moved through the battlefield with calm determination. Every decision was measured, every action purposeful. She coordinated squads with signals and gestures, her team moving like an extension of her will. The beacon pulsed brighter, sending vibrations that seemed to strengthen the humans further. Fear became focus, hesitation became precision. Even those who had never fought before were now capable of actions that surprised themselves, and even their enemies. The battle raged through the night. Vorath ships fired energy beams cutting through trees and rocks, but humans used the terrain, the traps, and their ingenuity to survive. Fires burned, smoke filled the air, but the humans pressed on. At one critical moment, a Vorath officer, taller and more imposing than the others, tried to rally their forces. Ilara noticed a weakness in their formation, a gap in their coordination that only humans moving unpredictably could exploit. "Target the officer," she shouted. Her team responded immediately. Soldiers coordinated, civilians assisted with distractions, and engineers used improvised devices to disable alien shields. In minutes, the officer fell, disorganizing the remaining Vorath. Ilara pressed forward. "Push them back. Show them what humans are." The humans advanced with precision. Each move was calculated, each strike effective. Even the alien's superior technology could not withstand the unexpected strength, courage, and coordination of their opponents. By dawn, the Vorath had retreated, leaving behind equipment and damaged vehicles. The humans had held the valley, and in doing so they had made a statement. Humans were not prey. They were fighters, capable of resisting even the most powerful enemies. Ilara surveyed the battlefield. Injuries were present, yes, and exhaustion weighed heavily on everyone, but no one had surrendered. The settlements had survived stronger than before, their courage reinforced by the beacon. Dr. Mara approached, eyes wide with wonder. "Captain, the beacon. Its signal is reaching far beyond the valley. Other settlements are responding. They're organizing. Humans everywhere are waking up. The Vorath won't know what hit them." Ilara nodded. "Good, that is exactly what we need. We are more than survivors now. We are a force." The humans spent the next few days consolidating their defenses and sending messengers to nearby colonies. Each settlement connected to the beacon, and each human who joined added strength to the network. Fear diminished. Courage spread. Ilara trained her team to move beyond defensive tactics. They would not wait for the aliens to strike. They would take the fight to them. Small groups were dispatched to rescue other humans, sabotage Vorath operations, and gather intelligence. Every mission increased the humans' confidence and skill. One afternoon, scouts returned with news of a Vorath supply line. The convoy carried weapons, energy sources, and resources critical to the alien war effort. Striking it would slow their operations and inspire humans across Arendor 9. Ilara's eyes gleamed with determination. Then we strike. We will show them that humans are not passive. We will turn their strength against them. The humans planned carefully. Using traps, terrain, and clever tactics, they ambushed the convoy. The Vorath were caught off guard by the humans' unexpected precision. Explosions rocked the landscape and alien vehicles were disabled. Humans moved swiftly, rescuing captured civilians and taking control of the supplies. When the battle ended, the humans had won again. No lives were lost unnecessarily, and the Vorath were humiliated. Word spread quickly, carried by messengers and the beacon's pulse. Humans were fighting back and they were winning. Ilara addressed the settlements once more. Do not underestimate what we have achieved. Each victory, each act of courage builds more than strength, it builds belief. The Vorath think they can control fear, but they cannot control courage. They cannot control unity, and they cannot control hope. Her words resonated with every person present. They were no longer afraid. They were ready to fight, ready to protect, and ready to expand the resistance. At night, Ilara stood beside the fully repaired beacon. Its glow filled the valley, a bright pulse that seemed alive, almost sentient. She placed her hand on it and felt the connection. Not just the device, but the humans around her. Their hearts and minds united in determination. This is only the beginning, she whispered. The Vorath may come again, but humans will not just survive. We will rise and we will remind the galaxy of who we are. The humans of Arendor 9 had become more than a small group hiding in fear. They were organized, trained, and united. They had faced the Vorath twice and emerged victorious. And with the beacon fully operational, their strength would only grow. As dawn broke, casting golden light over the valley, Ilara knew the next battles would be harder. The Vorath would return with more soldiers, stronger ships, and deadlier weapons. But humans were no longer just surviving, they were fighting back. And when humans fought, they did not fight quietly. They fought with courage, ingenuity, and unity. They fought to survive, to protect, and to inspire. They fought to remind the galaxy that hope could never be extinguished. The beacon pulsed once more, stronger than ever, sending a message across the planet. Humans were awake. Humans were united. Humans were a force to be reckoned with. Ilara looked at her team, her people, her family in arms. The galaxy will see what we are capable of, she said. And they will know that humans cannot be defeated. Not when we fight together. Not when hope burns within us. For the first time, she allowed herself a small smile. The Vorath had watched humans cower, had expected them to surrender, and had underestimated their spirit. Now they would witness something far greater. Humans who refused to be broken. Humans who had become a beacon of courage. And humans who would never stop fighting. The war was far from over. But the humans of Arendor 9 had ignited a flame that no alien force could extinguish, and from that flame a new era of human courage was beginning. The sun rose over the valley of Arendor 9, casting golden light on a landscape that had seen fire, fear, and struggle. But now the settlement stood stronger than ever. The humans had survived impossible odds, learned to fight as one, and ignited a spark that would not fade. The beacon pulsed in the center of the largest settlement, its light steady, warm, and full of purpose. Captain Ilara Voss stood beside it, watching her people move with confidence. Soldiers patrolled the perimeter, civilians worked on improving defenses, and young recruits trained tirelessly. The humans were no longer frightened, they were ready. They had learned that courage was stronger than fear and unity stronger than despair. Reports? Ilara asked, her eyes scanning the horizon. Rin stepped forward, his face serious but determined. The Vorath are regrouping. They've sent reinforcements from nearby systems. Ships, ground forces, stronger than ever. But they've also lost morale. Word of our victories and the beacon is spreading. Humans across Arendor 9 are rising to resist. We are no longer just a small group, we are a movement. Ilara nodded. Then it is time to take the fight to them. We will not wait for the Vorath to strike again. We will remind them who they are facing. Humans fight,
Humans survive.
and humans inspire. She gathered her leaders and planners. The strategy was bold. Coordinated strikes across multiple Vorath positions, rescuing humans under alien control and disrupting alien supply lines. The beacon signal would guide them, amplifying courage and coordination across the planet. As preparations continued, Alara walked among the people. She spoke with families, soldiers, engineers, and farmers who had become fighters. Each conversation strengthened the resolve in her heart. Humans were extraordinary. Even in the darkest times, they adapted, they learned, and they refused to surrender. In the late afternoon, scouts returned with critical intelligence. A Vorath stronghold in the northern mountains, heavily guarded and commanding much of the surrounding territory. Attacking it directly would be impossible, but Alara had an idea. "The beacon will guide us," she said. "We will divide our forces into smaller teams, strike from unexpected angles, and use every human advantage we have. They may have numbers and technology, but we have ingenuity, courage, and unity. That is our weapon." At dawn the next day, humans moved through the forests and cliffs toward the stronghold. Every step was calculated, every team aware of the risks. Civilians who had once been terrified now moved with precision, carrying supplies, setting traps, and providing intelligence. As they approached the enemy lines, the Vorath forces seemed unstoppable. Their ships patrolled the skies, their soldiers moved in perfect formations, and their energy weapons glowed ominously. But the humans were ready. Alara signaled the first wave. Small teams moved silently through hidden paths, disabling surveillance equipment and sabotaging supply routes. Engineers triggered traps that slowed the alien advance while soldiers coordinated precision attacks. Civilians assisted wherever they could, distracting patrols and providing critical support. The beacon pulsed, its light reaching across the battlefield and beyond. Humans everywhere felt its effect. Focus sharpened, fear diminished, courage intensified. Even those far from the stronghold acted with clarity and precision, coordinating attacks that seemed impossible moments ago. The battle escalated. Alien weapons fired bursts of energy, but humans used cover, terrain, and clever strategies to survive and strike. The Vorath were caught off guard by the humans' coordination and unexpected skill. Every victory, every rescue, every disabled vehicle strengthened the human network, spreading hope across Arendor 9. At the heart of the stronghold, Alara led a critical strike team. They infiltrated the main compound, facing heavily armored aliens and advanced defense systems. Every step required focus, courage, and ingenuity. Traps were set, weak points exploited, and alien technology turned against its owners. When the Vorath commander appeared, tall and imposing, Alara didn't falter. With her team's coordination and the beacon's amplified courage guiding them, they struck decisively. The commander fell and the remaining aliens scattered, their morale shattered. Humans had turned a seemingly impossible battle into a decisive victory. Back in the settlements, the humans celebrated, but Alara reminded them of the larger purpose. "This victory is ours," she said, "but it is also a message. Humans cannot be broken. We survive, we fight, and we inspire. The galaxy is watching, and they will see our strength." Messengers carried the story of the beacon and the battle to distant colonies. Humans in hiding or under alien control began to organize and resist. The signal of courage and unity spread like wildfire. Civilians built weapons, formed squads, and shared intelligence. Scientists repaired and improved technology. Farmers became scouts and guides. Everywhere, humans realized they were part of something larger, a united force no alien could easily defeat. Alara walked among her people at night, the beacon glowing behind her. "We have come far," she said softly, "but the journey is not over. The Vorath will return and others may follow, but now we know who we are. We know what humans can achieve when we refuse to surrender, and we know that hope once ignited can never be extinguished." A young girl tugged at her hand. "Captain Voss, will humans win?" Alara crouched down, smiling gently. "We always do. We may struggle, we may face losses, but humans survive. And more than that, we fight, we protect, and we inspire. That is who we are. That is our strength." The next weeks were filled with coordinated efforts. Humans moved beyond the valley, rescuing settlements, liberating captured citizens, and striking at alien supply lines. The beacon connected them all, amplifying courage and strategy. Humans no longer just survived, they thrived. The Vorath returned larger and angrier, but the humans were ready. Every encounter was met with preparation, precision, and ingenuity. Humans used terrain, traps, technology, and coordination to overwhelm larger alien forces. Each victory was a statement. Humanity would not bow, would not surrender, and would never be broken. From the sky, alien commanders could see the spread of human resistance and the glowing pulse of the beacon. They realized too late that they had underestimated humans. Fear was no longer controlling these people. Courage, ingenuity, and unity were. The humans of Arendor 9 had become a symbol, a force that inspired hope across the planet. Alara watched from the ridge as the humans held the line and struck decisively. The victories were not without cost. Injuries and exhaustion weighed heavily, but the humans adapted, learned, and pressed forward. The beacon pulsed with steady, unwavering light, a reminder of their power and potential. Finally, the Vorath retreated, not just from the valley, but from much of the planet. Humans had proven themselves capable of coordinated, intelligent, and relentless resistance. They were no longer prey. They were a rising force, a beacon of courage for the galaxy to see. Alara addressed the survivors. "Look around you," she said. "We have faced impossible odds, yet here we stand. The Vorath have learned something important. Humans cannot be defeated when we fight together. Every victory, every act of courage, every small human decision matters. We are strong. We are united, and we are unstoppable." The humans cheered, a sound full of hope and determination. The beacon pulsed brightly, its glow lighting the valley like the dawn of a new era. Humans who had once hidden in fear now stood tall, their hearts filled with courage. Alara looked at the stars above, thinking of humans on other worlds. The beacon's signal could reach them, inspire them, and unite them. The war was not over, but the message was clear. Humanity survived, humanity fought, and humanity could inspire the galaxy. The humans of Arendor 9 were no longer just survivors. They were a movement, a force, a beacon. And with courage, ingenuity, and unity, there was nothing in the galaxy that could extinguish the fire they had ignited. As night fell and the valley glowed under the light of the beacon, Alara whispered softly, more to herself than anyone else, "Hope is alive. Humans will always survive. Humans will always fight. And humans will always shine." And across Arendor 9, in every settlement, in every hidden corner, in every heart, that hope spread. Steady, unyielding, unstoppable. The flame had become a blaze, and the galaxy would never forget the humans who refused to bow.